I had a conversation with a clever guy yesterday who told me, among other things, that the internet service provider model of business might be becoming obsolete because already a lot of people are accessing the internet through mobile number operators like Safaricom, Airtel and things like that, and therefore traditional ISPs like we know them might not be in business for much longer. So I thought I might bring in another clever guy to try and put this into perspective for us. Jonathan Somen is now with me, Group Managing Director, Access Kenya. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Are your kind of businesses going out of business?
Well, I think the first thing I'd say is wait until you see our results for last year in March.
Right.
I think that might put paid to that little rumor.
Yes.
But fundamentally, I don't think we are a traditional ISP. We own our own infrastructure. We own 200 kilometers of fiber in Nairobi alone, 350 buildings connected. We control a lot of the supply chain of the infrastructure. And you know, our business is doing very well. Our core competence is data, and that's where we beat everybody hands down, and that remains the case. We have 12 years experience in this part of the industry, and you know, by no means are we slowing down in any way. In fact, we're actually growing. We're adding more customers every single day, every single month.
You're a corporate data provider. That said, statistics from the CCK, the latest we have, I believe is for July to September last year, paints what you say is not an accurate picture, which means, and I think it gives Access Kenya as one of the leading ISPs a market share of just under 0.50%. Is that true?
I can't dispute the figures, I don't have access to them, but what the statistics paint is they paint a picture of the overall market. That includes mobile users, that includes fixed line customers as well. So in those statistics you include people who maybe spend 50 shillings a month with a mobile dongle.
And these are the majority of people?
That is the majority of people,
yes.
But in our core competence, which is corporate data and corporate lease lines for corporate customers.
Which also has a lot more money.
Which has a lot more money, but we are still, and our own statistics show that we are still 40% of that market. Not only that, I mean, our own statistics show that the last 6 months we are taking market share from every single one of our competition. So I happen to know that Testbox have actually written to the CCK to say, you're not giving a true picture. Yes, that's the overall picture of people who are connecting to data and using the internet, but that picture is not, that doesn't show you the breakdown between, say, fixed line and mobile. And they're two very different markets. We don't play in the mass market. It's not our core. It's not our core strength. We don't have the network to deliver that kind of service. But the fact remains that if what we're asking CCK to do is actually split that out and now give a definition between total market and then those on mobile and those on fixed, and then you'll see the reality, which is that we are by far and away the market leader.
Because that feeds this notion that the mobile networks, the Safaricoms and Oranges of this world are eating your lunch.
Well, as I said to you, the last 6 months we have net gained market share from every single one of our competitors. So that includes all the mobile providers, and that's just the reality of the situation. We are taking customers from every single one of our competitors, and yes, they do take the odd customer from us, but we take more from them than they take from us, and that's the reality. And that's because we know data. We run the best fiber network in Kenya. We maintain it right. We are true to our design of building it in best practice, and we continue to deliver the best service for what we believe is the best price.
Has that investment in the infrastructure, the metro fiber you talked about in Nairobi, in Mombasa and places around the country, has it paid off?
Incredible. Incredible. I mean, the most demand that we have for any of our services is on our fiber network. We have about 30 fiber buildings that are pending right now as we speak, waiting for connection, which are based on demand from customers. That's purely in Nairobi alone. So that, I think the market has come to understand that because of the reasons that I've talked about, our ring protection, where we put multiple connections into a building on different paths, so that if you get a single fiber cut, you remain up on your alternative path, and the customer doesn't even feel that there's been a fiber cut on the network. That, and the fact that we put in, for example, 8 hours of power backup in every single fiber building, the market now accepts that if you want to be on the most reliable fiber network, you've got to get onto Access Kenya's network, and that's been very good for our business. It's driving our business. We've just announced that we're investing over 100 million shillings specifically in our fiber network. That is where the demand is coming from, and we're building based on the demand.
But why are all of you operators and data infrastructure operators specifically building your independent networks in places where some already exist instead of trying to share that? Is there any thought to that line?
No, I agree. I mean, sharing makes sense. We share a lot of of the base stations that we use, we share with some of the providers, and I completely agree with the model. I can only really speak for myself. I'm happy to share. I have no issue with sharing. The reason why I'm building my own infrastructure is fundamentally why AccessKenya is successful today is because we believe we can do it better than anybody else. And I don't want to come across arrogant. That's just the reality. We started building our own wireless network in 2003. It was one of the prime building blocks that took AccessKenya to where we are today as the #1 provider, because we think we can do it better than other people. And so that's why we're continuing to do it in terms of building our own fiber network out. But I have no problem sharing infrastructure. There are obviously challenges to it, and I agree. It doesn't make sense to see 3 towers side by side on a hill who are 3 different providers. Similarly, everyone digging up the same road 3 times doesn't make a lot of sense. It's coming to an agreement that works for everybody, and that everyone can get the level of quality that fundamentally they want to then deliver the services. And that's the bigger challenge. But from a point of view of the principle, it's a brilliant principle, and we should be doing it.
Let's talk about the consumer for a moment. For the end user, a lot of us feel like we were promised that once fiber came in, our prices would drop drastically, access to the internet would be everywhere, and that's cheap. So several years later, we don't feel that yet.
Well, I think that's not. Well, I think there's 2 sides to it. First of all, I'm on record many times, even before fiber landed, saying the expectation that various people set of where the price should be is completely unrealistic, #1. Yes, the international capacity is a significant part of our input costs, but we built a fiber network. We have a lot of people to pay for, customer service. We have a whole host of things that contribute towards the cost of delivering the service. It's not just one single input cost of the international. So I believe we don't have the economies of scale yet in this country to really drive the prices to where the expectation level was, in my opinion, falsely set. So that's part #1.
Right.
Part #2 is that prices have come down significantly. My prices to my customers today, if you look at a per megabit price, have come down 80 to 90% to whatever it was 4 or 5 years ago, pre-fiber, when we were on satellite. So is it coming to the levels at really the mass market level, which is really where the concept that prices haven't come down, that's really where it's being driven in the mass market, which I don't play in. Is that the reality? I can only talk about where I work in, and that is in the corporate and the high-end residential sphere. And there's no question our prices have come down significantly in the market.
But that said, even in the corporate and high-end residential where you work, still some operators have even said we can't bring them down as drastically as you would have expected, because we put in a lot of money in the infrastructure, in the investment before this came in place, and we have to take some time to try and recoup this. Was that the same thinking at AccessKenya?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I have 30,000 shareholders out there. They're expecting me to turn a profit, and that's what we will do for last year. There's no secret about that. We've told the markets we will make money in 2011. But in addition to that, we have to recoup our investment in people, in training, in infrastructure, in fiber in the ground, in wireless technologies, in our servers, in our Cisco routers, etc., etc. So we're in the business to make money.
Right.
We do that by delivering the best service to our customers, and to do that we have to invest, and that's the reality. We have to balance between driving prices down where we can, and we have done on numerous occasions in the last 12 years, and continuing to build a sustainable business.
All right, somebody on Twitter here, Coltaska, mentioned that folks on Twitter and generally on social media, I see that complain a lot about AccessKenya service and uptime. I'm sure you have concerns about that?
I'm concerned about every single customer who's not happy with my service.
Yes.
It's as simple as that. And as you may know, we now have 4 ways that our customers can contact us. That's something that we did last year. You can call us and speak to our help desk. You can send an email to support@accesskenya.com, and you will automatically get a ticket which goes into our system. That means it's accountable with somebody. You can call our switchboard, and you can go through a self-help menu to open a ticket and say, I have an issue, this is what it is, this is my name, my number, and you can leave it, and then you're in the system, it's accountable. Somebody who does or doesn't deal with that problem will be addressed. And we also have chat. So absolutely, I'm concerned with every single customer. It is, in the technology world we live in, it's impossible to deliver 100% uptime all the time.
Yes.
But when it is, what we strive to deliver reliable services all the time, and if we have an issue, then what we focus on is then making sure that our customer service then deals with the problem and deals with it quickly.
All right, stay with us for just a moment. We need to bring you up to something